Welcome back. Welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back to the channel. Can Chelsea can Chelsea get one foot into the final of the League Cup? Can Chelsea do that? Can we do that? That's what we want. That's what we want. That's what we need. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, as always, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section as well. We need to do something amazing with this team this season. We need to make sure that Liam Rosenior gets the best out of the squad for the second half of the season. We need to smash Arsenal to bits. We need to do a lot of things. We need to do a lot of things. But welcome back to the channel. It's been a couple of days. Um, Big up Daniel as always in the chat. Big yourself up, Daniel, in the chat as always. Let us know your thoughts, Daniel, as well. Don't forget, big game tonight against Arsenal. League Cup, first leg. Second, I think the second leg's not till like 3rd of Feb, something mad like that. It's a couple of weeks between the two legs. But this is a game that we have to win. We have to beat Arsenal. Not just because it's Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, who we all hate. But to me, this is a game which will send a massive, massive, massive message to the club, the players. Kick on for the rest of the season. Build a bit of momentum going into the pre-season, and then next season you kick on. But this is a massive game. This is a game where I need to see what Liam Rosenior is all about. We need to see what Liam Rosenior is all about because he's spoken. He's given us his TED talks, which I'm on board. I'm on board with the TED talks. I like the way that Liam Rosenior spoken in the press conference after the game. He done an interview, I think today as well. It was come out today with Sky, which we'll talk about Zazie and Sterling in the next 30 minutes or so. But Rosenior's got to put proof into the pudding now. Now the talking is over. As they say in boxing, the talking is done. Now we need to see who is the better fighter, who can go up against Mikel Arteta. That's what we need to see. And I think for me, this game tonight is so crucial. So crucial. We won't have Moises Caicedo. We'll talk about our predicted lineup as well in the next 30 minutes. But I want to talk about some other news first. Now we know that ex-Cobham graduate, Mr. Chelsea, that some of you lot dubbed him, the boy that could do no wrong. Before I say all that, actually, I feel like I'm painting him up to be a villain. He's not a villain, Conor Gallagher. He's not a villain. I just think going to Spurs, of all clubs, Spurs. Apparently a deal's been done, 5.5-year deal. Let's get the news up. Ben Jacobs gives us all the lowdown on the news. So we've got it here that Ben Jacobs is saying that Conor Gallagher, this was yesterday or the day before yesterday, had agreed a 5.5-year contract with Spurs. He's been given permission to travel, and then he's come back out today to say that Conor Gallagher has now passed his Spurs medical and will sign a 5.5-year contract with them lot in North London. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that. I'll be honest. I don't know how to feel. I think it's a tricky one because I feel like with Conor Gallagher, look, he was always going to be moved on at Atletico at some point. I think look, none of us as Chelsea fans, or a majority of Chelsea fans, did not want Conor Gallagher to leave the club. We still thought that he had a role to play in the squad. Look, we know he's got mileage in him. He can run for hours, and he puts a shift in every single game. But to go to Tottenham, and I get it, obviously Aston Villa, I think, wanted the loan deal. They didn't want to buy him. Tottenham want to buy him. They want to bring him into the team. He's been reassured that Thomas Frank will still remain as Tottenham manager. That's yet to be seen, especially where that Tottenham are playing at the moment. But you just have to think back, and I get why fans are a bit annoyed by it, especially Chelsea fans as such, because look, Conor Gallagher was never the player that we wanted to leave. We didn't want him to go. He was forced out of the club. If you remember, he was told not to turn up and train at Cobham. He was told that you're moving to Spain, Atletico Madrid. And if you remember correctly, that deal didn't. It wasn't a straightforward deal. There was a bit of it stalled slightly, and then we had to bring back Conor Gallagher for I think a day or two. He came back to England. He then flew back out to do his medical in Atletico Madrid. So look, it was never a deal. And then and to top things off, João Felix is no longer at the club anyway. So the whole deal to bring João Felix to the club, selling Conor Gallagher, I mean, it was another one of those sort of strange, random, annoying transfers from the owners. But I think Conor Gallagher, I think he's still got an unproven story to finish in the Premier League. I think he's a good player. I get why there's frustration and some of the fans are annoyed from Chelsea because look, he should still be at the club. Whether he gets game time now would be a completely different question, but you would have to ask yourself the question: would we be signing certain players if we had someone like Conor Gallagher, the engine? I think I even dubbed him the engine in the midfield. You know, he's someone that just didn't stop running. And for me personally, I think it just didn't make sense selling him in the first place, and he's obviously now out of favor with Atletico and Simeone and La Liga. So he'll do well with Spurs. I think the problem is it's Spurs. It's Spurs. Even saying their name makes me feel dirty. Even saying Spurs makes me feel dirty. Spurs. It's just why would you want to go there? Why would you want to go to Spurs? I generally think the Villa deal would have made more sense in my eyes. Going to Villa, even if it's on a loan deal with an option to buy or make it permanent at the end of the loan, I think that's a better deal. I mean, you're talking about a Villa team that is high and flying under Unai Emery. To me, that's the one you go with. That is the one you go with. I don't know if Conor Gallagher realizes where Spurs are and how bad they've been and how much pressure Thomas Frank is under at the moment. So for him to think he's got the reassurance that he's fine there, he's okay, then it's a madness to me. But let's talk about the semi final first leg. Daniel in the chat is saying if Chelsea wants any chance, we have to win at Stamford Bridge and we have to take a lead to the second leg at the Emirates Stadium because I'm not confident going there. Chelsea must get something at the Bridge. And let's be honest, we did against them in the league. Again, with 10 men, Moises Caicedo, early red card, if you remember back in November. It's been 4 years under this ownership in May, and we have not challenged for the title since 2017. Yeah, that's a mad stat. I also read as well, I don't think it's been 8 years, I think, since we've won a domestic trophy. I'm pretty sure. I think the League Cup, was it the League Cup? Costa and John Terry, I think, scored the last goal. I can't remember now. I think so. But it's been too long. It's been too long. And I said the other day, we can't keep talking about the Club World Cup and we can't still keep talking about the Conference League. They were brilliant. One, we were always banked on to win that Conference League. It wasn't even that easy. We made it difficult for ourselves to win that Conference League, and we were never in a situation where we were expected to go and win the Club World Cup. So both of those trophies, yeah, they're great, but would I swap both of those trophies to win the League Cup, the FA Cup, or the Premier League? Well, take the Premier League away, but the League Cup and the FA Cup, 100%. Do I look at the FA Cup and the League Cup more than I would a Club World Cup and the Conference League? 110%. 110%. And I always say this about the League Cup. No one wants to be in it. No one wants to talk about it. No one really cares about it until you get to this point in the stages of it where you're in a semi-final, you're up against one of your London rivals, you're 1 foot away or 2 feet away, 2 steps away from getting into that final at Wembley in March where you could play against Newcastle or Man City. This is the moments that you need to take it and you need to win. Now, I read a mad stat as well that Arsenal very rarely they don't do well in the League Cup semi-finals. I'm sure they've lost their 8 last semi-finals. I think I was reading this at 6:30 in the morning, so I could have got that wrong. But they don't do well in the League Cup semi-finals. And I think they've been knocked out their last 4 semi-finals across all comps. So I said to Theo, who we do the podcast with, I said the other day that this could be the moment for, especially not this leg. This leg is not the leg that concerns me. I think we will win tonight. I think we will beat them. I have no concerns. The way that Liam Rosini has been speaking in the press conference, the way that he's been talking, the way that he got us playing against Charlton, albeit against Charlton, there were subtle differences and tweaks to that lineup and the tactics that made me think if we can do exactly that against Arsenal in a better way with a better lineup with Sanchez back in goal, I can see us winning. I can see us winning this 110%. I can see us actually doing very, very well in this game. Now, as long as we don't make any silly mistakes, which is a you can never, as a Chelsea fan, we're always one game away from a mistake. But as long as we play the game plan that we need to play, and I'm going to show my predicted lineup shortly, but as long as we can do that, then I don't see any concerns from Arsenal. They've got a lot of injuries, and that shouldn't make a difference. But when you look at the team that they're going to be putting out tonight, with a lot of injuries out there, I don't think they've got Killer Fury. I don't think Saliba will be in that team. There's a lot of doubts from some of the other players as well. So I think when you look at some of the players that they would have potentially fielded tonight, and the team that we have to our disposal, minus Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia in the midfield, Cole Palmer's a doubt. We need to talk about Cole Palmer, but I think we should be going out there, Stamford Bridge, no excuses. One part of the semi-final needs to be ticked off convincingly tonight. This has to be a performance that, because this is Liam Rosina's first home game. Let's add that into it. This is his first opportunity as the Chelsea head coach to stamp his authority, show the fans as well. Because I think he keeps talking about the fans in the press and how he must win and he needs to win. And look, words are words. Words are words. I think from the moment that you have to make sure that you're backing up those words with victories on the pitch. Because if you're not, then the words mean nothing. The words mean absolutely nothing. Yeah, there needs to be more. Daniel in the chat saying Chelsea owners does not even care about winning the League Cup. I heard in some reports. I wouldn't disbelieve that at all. I can see that happening. Got Tesco Car Park saying, "Am I right by saying if we are drawing after 90 minutes, it goes to pens?" No, this is just the first leg, so there is a second leg. I think it's a date in. I think it's 3 weeks from today. The second leg. So the Emirates. This is what I'm saying. Tonight is not just about Liam Rosino, his first game at Stamford Bridge. This is an opportunity to get ourselves to a final. And look, Man City look sharp. I think Man City will go back to the Etihad in a couple of weeks and they'll smash Newcastle apart. But when you get to that final, it's anybody's. So tonight is the first step in getting into that final. And if we win 2-0, 3-0, I think it will be a 3-1 game, if I'm honest. 2-1 game. But if we can get that victory, even if it's a marginal win, I'm talking 2-1, and we take that to the Emirates, I have all the faith in our players and the manager to get a result at the Emirates. Because Arsenal then have to come out at the Emirates and play against us with those injuries. Arsenal then have to come out with one. I mean, at that point as well, we'll be 3 weeks down the line. The Premier League could have changed by then. The gap that they have at the top could have reduced. It could be a 1 point gap after all of that. So I think it all depends on what Arsenal really want. Do they want to go and get that Premier League? Are they really concerned by the League Cup? Looking at their injuries, you'd probably have to say that actually at some point in this season, are Arsenal going to have to take their eye off the ball at some point? And are we going to be able to capitalize? If that is the League Cup, are we going to be able to go to the Emirates in 3 weeks and put in a very good performance? Because that's what it comes down to. We have to put in a performance tonight and in 3 weeks' time, and treat it like a final. And then when you get to the final, you've got to play out your skin and leave everything out there. Because it can't, as Chelsea Football Club, we can't be sat here as Chelsea Football Club and living off the hype of a Conference League and a Club World Cup. We just can't do that. We can't. As Chelsea Football Club, we should be thinking objectively, we want the Premier League, we want the Champions League, and we want a domestic trophy. And then, of course, you want top four or whatever if you don't get the Premier League. But that should be and for me, bare minimum should be a trophy every single season. Whether that's a League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, a bare minimum should be a trophy. And the easiest trophy to get 9 times out of 10 is the League Cup. Now, this season looks like Pep's taking it a lot more serious because there's been seasons before where he's put out a B team. Last night he had Haaland playing, Semenyo, Doku, like Foden. Like he was taking it serious. He was actually there was no messing around with City last night. We have to do the same tonight. We have to do the same tonight. No mistakes, no silly lineups, no Badiashile. Look, Badiashile, he can't be playing. If he starts tonight, I'm not drinking alcohol for a long time. But if I see Badiashile's name on that team sheet, I might have to go and get something because I can't watch 90 minutes of Badiashile against Arsenal. It has to be the solid two. Hopefully Trevor Chalobah, Wesley Fofana next to him as well. Now Cole Palmer, let's talk him. Let's talk about Cole Palmer because Cole Palmer, according to a lot of reports, is not fit. He's not fully fit. I said this. I said this was going to happen. We're rushing him back from an injury, and let's be honest. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. He probably needs surgery. Cole Palmer probably needs the surgery to rectify what's the issue. If it's a groin strain, groin tear, groin whatever, that is a muscular injury that you're constantly, especially playing football, you're constantly using. So if he's playing through pain, which backs up the performances we're seeing from Cole Palmer, if you think about how he's been playing, how he was playing before the injury, he needed to get the surgery. He needed to get the surgery. Problem is, you're now talking about um you're now talking about a point where the World Cup's coming up. So the World Cup is in a couple of months now. Can he afford to take this surgery now? If you remember back to Enzo with the hernia, he decided not to go to, I think it was he didn't he wanted to go to the Copa America, but he had the surgery. The same thing for Cole Palmer. If he needs a surgery, he has to get the surgery. There's no point playing him while he's injured because it's costing us, it's detrimental to the team. We're not winning the games that we need to win because of Cole Palmer. Not because of him, but because if he's injured, he shouldn't be in the team. And I remember saying this on Twitter. I said if he doesn't just walk back into that team, not because of his ability, but if he's not playing well, and that's now down to the fact that he's still carrying a knock, carrying an injury, carrying whatever, he shouldn't be in that 11. He should not be starting in the 11 above Esteval. We've got other players that can play in that 10. We have. Are they as good as Cole Palmer? Probably not. But they're better than a Cole Palmer that's carrying a groin strain or groin whatever injury. They're better than that. And that's where I kept saying to people online, he doesn't just walk back into this team. He doesn't just get back into the team. He doesn't. He doesn't get back into the team just because his name's Cole Palmer. He has to earn, first of all, he has to earn his way back into the team. Let's have that right as well. He doesn't just walk back into a team. Because again, you've got Esteval. And for me, and Liam Rosini has come out and said this today, that Esteval, almost Maresca used him in the wrong way, that he was trying to protect him, whereas actually what he should be doing is using him as a resourceful part of the team. When you need to bring him into a game, you bring him in. When you don't, you don't. You don't just rest him because he's 18. And that was the excuse that Maresca was always saying, is that he's 18, he needs time, blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying, he doesn't need time. He's 18. I grew up in an era where Wayne Rooney was smashing balls past David Seaman at 16. Michael Owen, 18. He doesn't need time to adapt to the Premier League. He's that good of a player, Esteval. And if Cole Palmer's not fit and Cole Palmer needs surgery, then I would be fully confident in Esteval coming in and stepping into the 10 role. Fully confident. In fact, I'm not confident. I want him to start tonight, either on the right or as the 10. Because he's that good, Esteval. And we shouldn't be leaving him out the team because he's 18 or because he's a young Brazilian. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's just stupidity. In a game where you're playing Arsenal, you have to think things through. And you have to get on the front foot of this game. And tactically, you have to set up correctly against them. Because as Daniel's saying here as well, no set pieces. We know Arsenal for the set pieces. We know that. But I'm not. That doesn't. Again, depending on the two centre backs who start the game tonight, and this is why I would go with. Now, you might want to throw Tosin in there for a little bit of height, but I feel like Chalobah Fofana, especially Fofana, he's not the tallest centre back, but I feel like we should be able to get something out of this game. Um, yeah, yeah, I am concerned about the set pieces, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all. I think a professional football club should be able to defend against set pieces. It's just we just clearly can't. We struggle against set pieces and conceding goals. Um, yeah, agreed. Yeah, we need to resurrect the winning streak against Arsenal. The last one being 2021. Um, No Tosin. Well, this is the thing. I think we do. I think we would benefit from having a Tosin in the back line. More so for them, as rightfully pointed out, set pieces, they're going to be a key part of, or they have been a key part of Arsenal's game. So I do think set pieces, we got to be guarded against our complacency of them. And Tosin, for me, brings that height in both boxes. You got to see it against Charlton as well. He's a threat in our box as well when we're attacking. So I wouldn't put it past Tosin being in there. I personally wouldn't have him in my lineup, but send Cole for surgery over the summer and let him miss the. Nah, that won't happen. There's no way. There's no way. And as well, Thomas Tuchel, I think will put him in that team. Thomas Tuchel, Cole Palmer's not missing the World Cup. The only way he does that, yeah, I'm not even going to get into it on this channel, but there's other players that will potentially should be going, um, won't go for obvious reasons. But yeah, there's no way I don't think Cole Palmer misses that. I think he's well and truly part of the I think he's well and truly part of the England setup. And he has been poor. He has been poor. He's been really poor. I won't say he's been poor. I think when I watched him, he reminds me of Enzo. When Enzo was injured, you could tell that there was a reason why Enzo wasn't playing the way that he can. And I think you look back at how Cole Palmer's playing at the moment, you can tell that he's carrying a knock. And maybe that's why he's been substituted the last couple of games. And why, Enzo Maresca felt he needed to do that, or the medical staff felt that he needed to do that. Um, yeah, I mean, look, Daniel's ahead of the curve here because he's actually predicting some of my lineup already. So he's put here that he would play João Pedro in the 10, Esteval's better on the right. Yep, I agree with that as well. But again, I don't think there's a right or wrong with Esteval. I think he's that good. I think he's that good. He could play across the whole front three in those attacking midfield roles. I think he could play on the left, centre, or the right. I really do. I think he's that good. Do I think his best abilities are coming off that right hand side 100%? But I think he could play off the whole front three. I really do. He's that good of a player. Um, whilst Daniel's jumping the gun in the chat, which is always beneficial for me, let's get the lineup up that I think we will go with. I think we should go with this lineup. Um, because I think Arsenal always going to be a threat. It doesn't matter without the injuries or with injuries. They're going to be a threat. We know that. But now this is the lineup that we went with the last game against Charlton, and I expect there to be a number of key changes. Now we know that Moises Caicedo is out of this game. He's suspended, so he won't be in the team. There's a massive doubt about around Malo Gusto. I would be surprised to see the likes of Tariq George, um, simply because it looks like he's on his way out of the club. So we won't include him. We know that Lavia is still out. Dario Asugo was on the bench Saturday for Charlton, so he might get a run out. But again, these are the sort of games I wouldn't even entertain that. I wouldn't entertain bringing in a Sugo or anyone like that. But so I don't think it will be Mark Gui. I think we will see Liam Delap again. I'm thinking for height. Now with Liam Delap, he looks very good when he wants to turn things on. What I need, what I need from Liam Delap is goals. That's it. I don't, and look, I mean, he does some brilliant work stretching play, stretching the defenders. He does a lot of that sort of running away from goal, which then essentially opens up areas for some of the other players to run into. And he's done that on a number of occasions. But I also want to see him be greedy and just take on a defender and try and score a goal. Because I think as a number 9, the mentality you have to have is just to be greedy. And sometimes the pass might be on. Sometimes there might be a better option for you. But if you're a good, confident striker, you shoot the ball, you hit the back of the net, and no one forgets that you didn't pass the ball to Esteval or Jab, whoever. No one cares because you've scored the goal. But I need to see that more from Liam Delap. And I think with Liam Rosina having previous experience working with him, I think we will see eventually because Rosina is going to have to stick to a regular number nine, a regular goalkeeper, try and build a spine for his team going forward for this season and beyond. But I think he's going to go. I personally think he goes with Liam Delap tonight. I think he will be the one that gets the nod in the number nine. Now, I do think Esteval and I think Cole Palmer, even if he isn't fit, or sorry, he is fit, I don't think he's going to start this game. I think it's going to be Esteval on the right. I think João Pedro will be essentially um, the number 10. Where is João Pedro? Am I seeing things? Am I going mad or can I not see João Pedro? Oh, there he's right there. João Pedro. And I think now this one's tough because I always feel like this is the spot that is never nailed down in our team. And I thought Garnacho on Saturday against Charlton played very, very well. And I keep saying this and caveating, it was Charlton. But I want to give Neto the opportunity here because I feel like with Neto, he has come under some criticism and it's rightfully so. It's criticism that's duly deserved because he hasn't been put in and the performances we got to see against some of the teams in the Club World Cup or, the start of the season. But I think you need someone in this game that has the pace, that can beat the press, go into space, work the ball into critical areas of the pitch. And I think one of the things which I want to touch on in a minute is around on Saturday, it was Garnacho who was constantly isolated here with the ball. The ball gets shifted over, and I think that would work with Neto. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But the two in midfield, I think I'm going to stick with these two. No, I can't stick with these two. Caicedo is suspended, so it'll be Enzo in the midfield with Andre Santos, who again key figure for Liam Rosina at Strasbourg last season, and Liam Rosina rates him a lot as well. I think that's another thing to mention. He rates him so highly, so I think we will see more of Andre Santos with Enzo Fernandez. Now, Reece James, I think is fully fit. He should be in this game. I'd be surprised, big semi-final, if Reece James is not included in this game. I can't see why he wouldn't. We know that Malo Gusto is another doubt for the game tonight as well. So Reece James comes in for me. I take out these two who at times looked very sort of shaky against Charlton. I'm bringing back Trevor Chalobah, who again, look, he hasn't had the best of seasons for me. He looks 80% of what we normally see from him. There has been mistakes, especially at the start of the season, that he's brought in. But he needs to have the game of his life tonight. And Marco Correa, for me, comes back in at left back with Robert Sanchez in goal. I think Jurgensen pulled off some brilliant saves against Charlton. And there's talk about this afternoon about him wanting away. I think he wants regular football, first team football. He's not going to get that by the sounds of it at Chelsea, but maybe he knows as well the imminent Mike Penders coming back from Strasbourg next season. But what I do want to slightly touch on, because what was happening in this game on Saturday, and it was mainly around these guys here, the ball shifting into these areas here, and we were stretching the play. Neto was here. The ball would come over here. You would have your boxes here with Enzo going up further to support them attacking phases. Reece James here. So you've got your 4 in the box here, 2 sitting off, and you press as the 5. So Delap, Pedro, João Pedro, Fernandez, Esteval. Now but the thing is, Neto over here is always on. He was always on, always. When it was Garnacho on Saturday, the ball would shift over, and this is crucial if you play in a game. I mean, I don't think it will be tonight because of Arsenal. I can't see them playing a low block. But if you're playing a team that loves the low block, that loves to make things difficult, Leeds United, this is always crucial to have someone available here. And Liam Rosenior, as I said before, I remember doing a video last week. He's not going to change things a lot from what Maresca was doing, but these little subtle tweaks to the 4-2-3-1, how we're pressing. I mean, these four here are crucial for how Liam Rosenior wants to play, because at some point they shift back. You then get your goalkeeper, obviously, who will. He's going to be playing out from the back. So Sanchez tonight has to be, the passing has to be amazing tonight. 10 out of 10. Every single pass, 10 out of, I want 11 out of 10. I want it to be that good from Sanchez, playing out from the back, because this is where the build-up starts from. James will drop into the midfield. You'll have these four pushing up as a four. Wide players stretching the play with Esteval. But this guy here as well, that please, one thing we got to see under Maresca was we would get the build-up play right. We'd do everything right, get the ball into the critical, crucial areas. And your man's here. Liam Delap's here, or he's just on the edge of the box. He has to be a target point. He has to be the target man in the box. Because the way that Liam Rosenior is playing, that pass is always going to be on. And if you shift it to this side as well, and it's Esteval, I mean, Esteval will be exactly the same. We move as a four. This four here will move as a unit across. There's always going to be a wide player on. Always. You stretch the play, you stretch the defenders. It's going to help Liam Delap in the box. And that's why I think, for me personally, you've got to utilize those wide spaces. You have to utilize. And with Arsenal's tricky defense as well, they're going to have a tricky centre-back partnership tonight, I think. Like I said, I think Saliba's out. Calafiori's out. I think Mascara, he might be a doubt as well. So, look, they're going to have a makeshift defensive line. A makeshift one. And we might even see the return of Kepa. So if we see the return of Kepa, let's put a few past him. Let's show him why you don't go to the dark side. I really do. I really do. Daniel's saying here that Reece James got played in midfield. He did. But then at one point we were playing almost five at the back, because then you had an extra body dropping into the midfield against Charlton. So look, we just need to win. We just need to win. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to talk quickly about some of the comments that were made by Liam Rosenior I think he done an interview with Sky. It came out this morning, and he was talking about Axel Disasi, Raheem Sterling, the bomb squad. Apparently, Liam Rosenior said he's got a lot of respect for Raheem Sterling. He's got a lot of respect for Axel Disasi. And what it sounds like, the door's not shut for neither of them. Now, I personally think Raheem Sterling will have to leave in January, because I mean, look, I said this many, many months ago. If he's not playing, who's going to buy him? How much fitness has he really got over the last 4 to 5 months? We could have probably utilized him in certain games, rested a couple of players. But if that's not the case, and we are looking to get rid of him, then we've got to help make that deal happen. My worry is that Liam Rosenior comes in, tries to go against what the owners want. It looks like the owners don't want Sterling there. They don't want Axel Disasi there. He's been playing for the under-21s for the best part of this season. It looks like they don't want him there. Liam Rosenior might have to pick his battles very, very wisely. And this is probably not one, because he has come out and said he hasn't had the opportunity to talk to either Axel Disasi or Raheem Sterling. But these are the sort of battles. Do you really want them right now? Especially when you've got 5 sporting directors. I mean, surely one of those 5 should be navigating and negotiating this deal, if it is going to be for Raheem Sterling or Axel Disasi to leave in this transfer window. But neither of them, especially Disasi, can never be part of this senior setup again. Ever. They should not even be considered. Especially, and Sterling as well. And Sterling. Because for me, I've always said this about Sterling, and I don't know the in-between of how the conversations went with Maresca and the owners and Sterling, but he should be fighting for his place in that team. And I don't know if he's trying to do that or if he's just happy training at 8 p.m. on his own. But there can be no comeback for those 2 players. We're talking about trying to sign Yildiz from Juventus. We've already got Garnacho, we've got Gittins, we've got Esteval, we've got Palmer. Giovanni Quenda's coming next season. Like Kendry Payers coming next season. We don't need any more players to add to this over complicated squad as it is. And for me, if I was Raheem Sterling, I'd want to be playing football every single week, regardless of my age, regardless of how old I am, regardless of the money that I'm on. Football would come first before anything. And the fact that he's had offers from Fulham, West Ham, he had offers in the summer from Italy, from Germany, and it all came down to money for him. It all came down to this £325,000 a week that he's on, and that's why he's still getting paid by Chelsea, not kicking the football for us. So for me, I can't understand if I was in his shoes, I'd take the pay cut. We've just seen N'Golo Kante go from Saudi money to go and play for Fenerbahce. He's agreed a deal. He's taken a massive wage cut. It tells you the difference in the sort of players that we're dealing with. One's been getting Saudi money and one's still getting Chelsea 325k a week money. And one's happy to sit around Cobham lifting weights at 8 p.m. The other one still wants to go and play football in Turkey. That's the difference between these two players. And that's where one thing I can give these owners now is that they're smart in terms of the contracts they're giving out. They're not giving out 300 grand a week to players anymore. They're just not doing that. So I don't know. I don't know what happens with those two. We are going to do a transfer video later this week, talking about some of the transfer targets that we're trying to get in, some of the players that might need to leave in this window or in the summer. What does Liam Rosenior's priorities need to be? We're going to do a video on that this week. My predictions for Arsenal. I said it earlier on. I'm going to keep with that prediction. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Chelsea win. This is Stamford Bridge. And I've spoken a lot about boycotting games, protests, and all the rest of it. If you are, and I did say this, that everyone is entitled to do what they want, but if you are going to the game, make it loud, make it hostile for these Arsenal fans, make it hostile for these Arsenal players, because we need to put a dent in their season. And I truly believe tonight, if we can get the team right, we can get the lineup out that is correct. I don't see why we can't beat them over both legs. And as I said, when you get to a final, any final, you got to see against PSG in the Club World Cup, any single final, it's anybody's game. It's anybody's game. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts, your predicted lineups in this chat. Appreciate everyone that's been involved. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Until then, enjoy the rest of your... What day is it today? Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow.